This is Global Telling. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, thank you for calling me back.
Okay.
So after you do your 18-month shoot term, right? That's what you were given, right, by the
Right.
CDCR. Okay.
Right. 18 months.
You end up getting shipped off to Tehachapi.
Yeah. For my last 6 months of my shoe term.
And at that time, once you committed that act of violence, what were your points at that time? Do you recall what your points were?
I came into prison with 77 points. I I'd gotten probably three different write-ups, administration write-ups, for disobeying direct orders. Um, we had, the whole yard, C-yard, had a mass protest where everyone on the yard cell extracted. So my cellie and I cell extracted and got sprayed with OC pepper spray, which is hell on earth, by the way. Uh, and so then I had a battery, a 2-on-1 battery, where a Crip and I had beat up a non-affiliate for disrespecting someone's family member and visiting. So at that point, I was probably close to like 90 points. I was close to like 90 or 100 points at that point when I left.
And how many points do you need to be on a level 4 yard?
Back then, I think it was like 60 some odd points back then. I believe it was 60 something.
And when you were in AdSec, did you have a celly?
I in Salinas for a little while, in Tehachapi for a little while as well. The politics with blacks are different. Blacks don't have to take cellmates, like unless you have like an open issue, then you have to take a cellie, obviously, because you're running from whatever issue you have going on. But as far as we see accepting the cellmate basically as if you don't want to, unless there's somebody, one of your homeboys that you want to cell up with. But we see that as helping them make room for more people in not only the SHU but in the prison. So, you pretty much have the discretion to be in the cell by yourself. So I spent most of the time in Salinas Valley in the hole by myself, as well as the Tehachapi SHU. But eventually I celled up with my cellmate that we actually transferred from Tehachapi SHU to Kern Valley State Prison together, because our MERD, our minimum eligibility release date to get out of the SHU was the same day. So we celled up and actually caught the bus together to Kern Valley.
And did you guys end up in the same unit and the same cell, or you guys were split up once you hit Kern Valley?
Oh no, we hit R&R and went to VR to cellies.
And
Which
how
probably wasn't a good idea.
And why do you say that?
Well, we were on the yard approximately 3.5 months, and we caught an attempted murder in the day room and stabbed one of our constituents 23 times.
And was this something that was planned, or something that you guys backed up? An incident happened and you guys backed each other up.
Well, the individual had some dirt on him from another prison, and and from his case. And so I was privy to it, and I shared it with someone from his gang, and they told me that they were going to look into it. And when they told me that,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
when they told me that, what he actually did was go back and notify the guy that I was trying to get him removed from the yard. And so a youngster was in the cell with them, and the guy that I was trying to get removed from the yard called me a bitch to someone in the cell. And so one of my young homies, he was in the cell with him, and he came out to the yard and asked me, if I got along with dude, and I said, no, he's not going to be here for long. And he told me that the dude, was talking about that I was trying to get him removed and called me a bitch. And so we went in from the yard, and I went inside my cell and packed up my stuff and told my cellie what happened. And we had made a pact when we left the Hatchapee that, we come into this yard together and we leave it together. And so, which was a self-fulfilling prophecy. So he packed up his stuff and we strapped up. And the guy was the building Mac rep. So I feigned like I was getting a haircut and had the building barber come over there to get me out. And he put the barber shawl around me, and I told him that, hey, when my people comes out, we're going to stab him. And he basically tried to leave, and I said, no, you can't leave. Like, the only reason why I can be out here is because you're here cutting my hair. It's just kick it. And so he came out and went upstairs, and he was talking to somebody, and I went up there and laid into him and started stabbing him, and my cellie assisted me, and yeah, it was bad.
In the prison world, how big is it, or how big of a violation is it to call somebody out of their name?
It's murder beef. It's murder beef. Regardless of the issue that I had impending with him, trying to get someone else to remove him for what he had done in the past, and once he said that, I had the green light to murder him.
And as far as the removal, did you need anybody's permission to do that, or you could just do it on your own accord?
Usually within structure, it needs to be sanctioned. But I already knew what he had done. So even if no one sanctioned it, no one's going to argue with it because I have paperwork showing what this guy had done. So you can't argue on the side of somebody that's wrong. So now you're going to be looking. You're going to be in the mix now. And people are going to be making decisions about what to do to you. So normally it does need to be sanctioned, but because I had already had intelligence and brought it to the community, and people were twiddling their thumbs, and once the disrespect is passed, in the black community at least, if you're disrespected, that's a reason / excuse for anything. If you're disrespected, then you're in trouble if you don't handle your business. So yeah.
And what happened to his fellow gang member that gave him this heads up? Did he have anything coming his way, or nothing happened to him since he told them he gave him heads up?
Well, he was removed from the yard 2 days later.
So once you removed him, where did you end up going after that?
I spent my cellie and I, we were cellmates. The institutional security unit separated us because we were under investigation, and the guy that we stabbed, he locked it up. And so after their investigation, they let us cell back up, and we celled up together. And eventually, they ended up sending him back to Tehachapi SHU, and they sent me to corporate SHU. And so, from December until April, in December 2007 until April 2008, I spent in the hole in ASEG waiting to get transferred. and hear him on 115. And after the guilt and finding, I was transferred to Corcoran Shoot in April 2008.
I have another question. In the black community, if you lock it up and you go to the other side, if you change your mind, can you sign a chrono to go back to GP without any repercussions?
Are you? No, no. You can now technically, if we're saying hypothetically,
Yeah.
you can sign off. You can sign off on your SNY status and go back.
Yeah.
In the technical sense, you could. Realistically, you could not go back. I mean, you can go back, but you're not going to stay long. You're going to be assaulted and stabbed.
So anything you do in the past is not forgotten.
No, no, no. If once you make a decision to lock it up, that's it. There's no going back.
Thank you for answering that. So from there, where is it that you end up after you get locked up?
So I go to 4A in Corcoran Shoe, 4A, 1 right, and I'm there for from April until November, and I go to medical, and one of my folks tell me that there's an imminent incident with the northern Mexicans, so I transfer over there and go to the group yard building, and because it's 4A, 1 right is walk-alone cages, you're only by yourself. It's like a giant dog kennel, essentially. And so the group yard is a concrete yard that's walled, and there are two.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I went to 4A4 right, and how they run the yard is A, B, C section, top tier would go to 1 yard, and then A, B, C section, lower tier would go to another small concrete yard. And so the Southern Mexicans and whites had 1 yard, and the blacks and the northern Mexicans had another yard. So November, I go over there to that yard, and I get briefed on everything that's going on, and I spend maybe 10 days in the building, and we have a riot on the yard with the northern Mexicans, a 7-on-6, and it's pretty brutal. No weapons were involved. It was just a brutal fight, and I was shot with the Glock gun. They sprayed so much tear gas on the other side of the yard that by the time they started spraying us on our yard, that there was just nothing left, and they just sprayed water cannons on us. So that pretty much ended my group yard tenure in Corcoran, and after that, everybody that was involved in the incident, they just scattered us to the wind, and so I transferred from 4A in Corcoran to 4B, and I went to 4B 2 right, and so that's where I was for about 8 or 9 months until there was an incident with somebody, one of my fellow members from the group yard, and I ended up moving into the cell and stabbing him, and that's how I became single cell back there.
So at this point, this would be stabbing number 3, right?
Right. Correct.
At this point, how long were you in already? How long have you been down?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
This would be June 2009, so we're talking roughly 8.5 years.
And what was your mindset during this time?
I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care. I figured that I was gonna die in prison, and this was my world. This was my life. I'd given up everything, the opportunity to raise my daughter, to be a father, to fulfill my dreams, and so this is what I was leaning into. You know, this is what I was at that time, and I just didn't care.